one thing that she said to me was, I've witnessed your failure to launch.
Oh, she can't be
and
serious.
she put it in an email, on many occasions. And at the time, I definitely wasn't as confident in myself as what I am now. And it really hit me. I was like, okay, wow, I'm a failure.
What up, guys? This is the first ever episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle, and safe to say, I am pumped. I'm outside a good friend of mine's home by the name of Kelle Howard. Now, if you don't know who Kelle is the designer and owner of this beautiful home behind us. But before I take you on a tour around home, I want to take you guys behind the scenes of exactly how she turned her passion for interior design into a personal brand that is now making her multiple income streams.
Roger, 527.
Kelle, thank you so much for having me in your beautiful home today. I'm honestly honored to have you as my first guest on the Ambitious Lifestyle.
Thanks for coming. I'm so excited.
I'm pumped. I hope you are too.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So for the viewers that don't actually know who you are, let's take this back a stage. Let's rewind the clock and get to know you as a person. So obviously you are originally from England. I can definitely hear that accent.
Yeah, it'll creep in probably during
every now and then.
Yeah, so I moved here when I was 10 years old, but I actually moved back there when I was 18 for 4 years. So
okay.
Been here ever since.
So what made you move obviously back to England and then back to Australia?
I just wanted to travel a little bit. I have a lot of family over there and I just wanted to explore a bit more. So I traveled quite a bit in Europe by myself and just had a bit of time after school just to, I guess, explore the world.
Yeah, awesome. No, that's cool. So you obviously have two beautiful children.
Yes.
Yeah, and then obviously you've created this masterpiece here, which is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So let's talk about going all in and building up the courage to go all in, because you've got two beautiful children, and you mentioned to me earlier that you did go through a separation. So what gave you the courage to go all in to build this obviously beautiful home and try and monetize, with shoot locations and stuff like that? What gave you the courage to go all in?
I think it's something that came over time.
Yeah.
I had come out of a 20-year relationship, so I had, a lot of questions to ask myself, like, what do I want to do with myself? What do I want to do with my career? So I really sat down and just reflected on what things made, like what I was passionate about, and I'm definitely a multifaceted, multi-passionate type of person. So
love it.
Doing one job, doing the same thing every day would not appeal to me at all. So
for sure.
I really looked at what I'd done in the past and what my strengths were, and really tried to pull everything together to create, I guess, what I call my dream job, my dream life. So I do a lot of different things on a daily basis, and it's just really exciting. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, okay, what do I have on today? And it's
Something
always
new,
something different, like today, getting
for sure.
interviewed
And that's
by you.
what you want. Like, we live in a world where people are just stuck in the 9-to-5 rat race, and it's not exciting.
Yeah.
People get lost inside themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're so fortunate now that there are so many options, and you can create your own, your own lifestyle, your own career by actually pulling different things together. There's so much more opportunity now, obviously, with online businesses, and just the world seems to have gotten smaller in a sense, because we can reach people all over the world, which is really exciting.
Yeah, cool. All right. So obviously you've created this, but let's talk about what were you doing prior to this? Like, what type of jobs were you doing?
I've done so many different things. I was working in high school. I had my first job at Hungry Jack's when I was 13. I've always
flipping
worked.
burgers.
Yeah. I used to get very nervous doing like the drive-through. I've never been confident with public speaking, but I've worked in restaurants and things. But my first, I guess, proper job, I was a flight attendant. I've worked in cosmetics. I've been a state manager before.
Awesome.
And I guess one of my biggest strengths was always, developing people and figuring out, what their passions were. So I guess I just kind of had to do that for myself a few years ago and really sit back and reflect on that as well. Yeah,
for sure, because obviously that is something that a lot of people probably never actually find in life. They go through life that they kind of get lost inside themselves, and they actually don't find their true passion. So how did you come up with, interior design as a passion of yours? Like, was it a combination of finding happiness and what you're good at and combining it together? Like, how did you come up with that?
I feel like I've always been, interested in it and quite creative. But after the birth of my first child, I decided to study interior design. So I did it for a couple of years, and to be honest, I actually didn't enjoy it as much as I
really?
thought I would, because I was doing it in a completely different way to what I'm doing it now. So I did a lot of e-design. I wasn't getting contact with my clients because they were interstate, and a lot of it was over email. So when I relaunched my business, I decided to change it up a little bit and do it my way. I didn't look at what other people in the industry were doing. I, basically designed my services and the way I work with clients to what suited me. And now I'm loving it. I'm thriving, with it, and just really getting clear on what types of clients I wanted to work with. So I'm quite, particular about who I work with and who I vibe with, and that has definitely worked for me.
It's definitely huge, because obviously you don't want to be working with clients that, don't bring you excitement. People get stuck in the sense of, the biggest thing in life is, people say yes to everything, income, yes, I'll take on that client. But then you start to lose your core value and what you believe and what makes you happy. And you mentioned that you are very limited on the clients that you work with. How are you able to, I guess, scope this out to find your ideal client that you want to work with? Yeah,
so last year I was actually on a retreat, and they did some workshops on self-love and self-worth, and by that point I was pretty good in that area. I felt pretty confident after, I guess a bit of self-discovery over the last few years. So I actually skipped those workshops and just sat in my room and just brainstormed. I got really clear on who my ideal client was. I basically described them, and then one of the clients that I'm working with now, when she first hired me, I revisited what I had written down, and I described her to a T.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
How good is that?
And I'm really big on manifesting, which we'll probably get to. So
that is your favorite word. So people that are listening, the people that are watching this right now, that is literally everything that we hear all the time, friends that know you, they're like, Kelle loves that word, absolutely loves it. So for the people that don't actually know, can you explain that word and what it means to you? Yeah,
I feel like it's a few things. I think that a lot of it is getting really clear on what you want to call in. So I feel like without even realizing it, we're all doing that on a day-to-day basis. So something bad happens and we're like, oh, I don't like that. I don't want any more of that. And then something great happens and we're like, okay, this is awesome. I want to bring more of that into my life. So that's, I guess, asking for what we want and what we don't want. So that's basically this first step in manifesting. But I feel like that's great. But if we're not allowing ourselves to receive it, that's the next step. So if we're complaining all the time, we're miserable, we're not doing the things that light us up, then we don't actually allow all the things that we want to come into our lives. So when I relaunched my business, I was really specific about what clients I wanted to work with, and I realized not everyone has that luxury. I've definitely been in a position before when I've just had to take work on because I've needed the money, but this time I just had faith in myself that the right clients would come. Yeah, absolutely. And because I work on bigger projects now, it is worthwhile me holding off because I really need a lot of time and the capacity to work with those clients, because I work on new builds now. So it could be a year or two of me working with those clients. So I can't take on a lot of smaller jobs because then I wouldn't have the capacity.
For sure.
But I was still showing up, showing up on social media, showing what I'm capable of, building my brand. So
believing in yourself.
That's the biggest thing. And again, that did take, a bit of time, but I think once I really defined who I was as a designer, what clients I wanted to call in, what type of business, I wanted, then it just made everything so much easier.
Yeah, I definitely believe I'm a strong believer in mindset. If you're going to wake up in the morning and let's use hangovers as an example.
Okay.
We've all had a hangover, all right. You wake up in the morning, you don't feel the best. There's two ways you can do it. You can lay around in bed feeling sorry for yourself, or you could just get up and get the day done. It's a big thing, and it comes down to your mind. If you can train your mind to believe in what you believe in, good things are going to happen. If you're going to train your mind to believe in negative things all the time, it's always going to bring negativity towards you. So I think, you're definitely right with that there.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I think there's a few things like being aware of who you surround yourself with, because,
100%.
I've definitely been in situations in the past where I've spent time with people that don't make me feel good, or they talk about things that are quite draining, and then you get on the bandwagon because
you get stuck in it.
Yeah, you do. And so I'm definitely very aware of who I spend my time with and who I let into my life as well. So that's a massive part of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even like, not even just friends and family, but social media wise, it's a big thing these days that a lot of people are getting sucked into the whole social media thing, and the negativity that goes behind that, and feeling as though that their self-worth isn't up to the person that they're following on social media. And they need to realize, you need to be following and interacting with people that bring something to your life. Like, I know that you're the same. I'm exactly the same. As I will follow people on social media that I feel as though that are bringing something to my life. Whether if it's friends or family, they're bringing value to my life because they are my loved ones. But if it's random people that I don't know, I want to make sure that they're bringing some form of value.
Yeah, it's got to be a value exchange. And there's a term that I really love, and it's called an expander. So I was chatting with a friend, and we were saying, about people being inspirational, aspirational, and she's like, you're an expander. Like, you encourage people to expand. So it's not about people looking up to me or you and going, oh wow, I want to be like Andrew, or I want to have a business like Kelle's. It's like, okay, well, what about people like us that are, basically creating our dream lives and our dream businesses? What about us makes that person want to expand? So they're not actually reaching for what we've got. It's them actually expanding as a person. I think that's so much more powerful.
I think it's huge. So let's go back a stage. And so you were talking about, you did like retreats and stuff like that. So have you had mentors before, or life coaches, and how did you find them? Would you recommend anybody to have like a mentor or something?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's a place for it, but I have also had some not so great experiences.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had one particular mentor. It was probably maybe about 7 years ago now. And as I mentioned at the beginning, like, I'm definitely multi-passionate, multifaceted. So I've tried lots of different things, and some people could look at, oh, you've tried that and you failed, and I really look at all of those experiences to, that's helped me with the business that I've got now. And one thing that she said to me was, I've witnessed your failure to launch.
And she
put it in an email, on many occasions. And at the time, I definitely wasn't as confident in myself as what I am now. And it really hit me. I was like, okay, wow, I'm a failure. I try things. I don't, put everything into them. I give up. I'm just not good for, for anything. And this was someone that I'd invested money in. I'd invested my time in. Yeah, that's right. So, it stuck with me for a really, really long time. And I think I've let it go now because, as I said, I realized that all of those things that I tried, I took something from it. It's like, okay, well, I like this aspect. For example, I've actually just started to mentor people.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, which is really cool. And I've held off doing it for a while because I want to make sure that I've got the capacity to put a lot into them, especially because of my own bad experiences with some mentors as well. It's really about, me figuring out if we're the right fit and what I can bring to them. I think, there's definitely a place for mentors, and there's people that I looked up to or still look up to that I've never worked with, but I just love, what they put out there as well. So,
I definitely think mentors are a good thing. Like myself, I've got mentors, but, when you look up to these people and they're saying, things like this, okay, maybe a sly comment, but if they're saying it regularly on a regular basis, that's something that sticks in your mind. Like me growing up, I was born and raised in South Auckland, which is a small town in New Zealand, which I am extremely proud of. But, teachers, friends, and, family, they wouldn't say picking, but, they were saying things to me that still to this day sit in the back of my mind. And it's something that I know that I should let go, but sometimes it's hard if things are said over and over and over again. It's like kind of paves a pathway.
Yeah, totally. And I think, perhaps those people think it's like tough love to make you go, oh yeah, okay, no, I need to make this work now. But it's actually not. It's actually very demotivating. I mean, I guess in a way it has helped me because it's made me realize that all of those things that I tried, different things over the years, like even the different careers that I've had, not in my own business, but, they've all taught me something that I can still use in my own business.
Awesome. So not only have you built a beautiful home, you've also created a place for big brands to come and shoot at, but along the way you've also built a personal brand about it. You know, tell me a little bit more about this, because I've known you for some time and I was that pissed when you first got started. And I'm like, Kelle, put yourself in front of the camera, and you're like, oh yeah, not ready, I'm not ready. Now that you put yourself in front of the camera, how is everything like that, building your name up as Kelle Howard?
Yeah, it was definitely a process. I remember at one point you sent me a Livco crop.
Yes, I did.
And I was like, you know what? I can talk in front of the camera. I didn't show my face, but it was the first time I'd really done anything like that. But it's funny, I can do it quite easily when it's for someone else. So if someone, like a friend's got something that I want to talk about, it kind of takes me out of the equation. So I feel a lot more comfortable. But it's something that I'm slowly getting used to, and I think, you know, the social media following that I have, like that was actually me documenting the build of the house. So when I started to put more of myself on there was a part of me thought, is anyone actually going to care?
And look at
which is growing, but I started, I guess, weaving more of myself in there, because at the end of the day, like, people are interested in people buy from people.
100%.
It's so important. So I think there's probably people that unfollow me and refollow me again, but I don't really think about that. It's just really about sharing, you know, my life and what I'm up to and what I'm excited about.
And inspiring people.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I actually really enjoy it now. I enjoy sharing. I think that's one of the things in business that I'm just a natural sharer anyway. So I think that's just another format for me to do that. But it's something that takes a little bit of getting used to. I have a lot of friends that have businesses that also feel the same way about getting in front of the camera. But I think just doing it when it feels organic and natural 100%. To you is just so important.
It will flow so much easier.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously when you first started to put yourself out on, you know, social media, you're probably a little bit scared. Like, how did you build that courage up? So for anyone that's listening or watching, how did you build the courage up just to do it?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone that does follow me on social media knows that I normally hide my face behind my phone.
You've got a secret pose.
But it's become like a bit of a signature now, you know. And I get a lot of messages, people go, I love it because it feels like you're stood in front of me. So I just did it my way and did it the way that I feel comfortable. Occasionally I'll, you know, do the selfie cam, but most of the time, I just do it the way that feels good to me. So I think it just, you know, came over time, and if I was sharing something that I was really excited about, then it kind of took the scariness out of it, because of the excitement.
It's something
came
you're
through.
passionate about as well.
That's right. Yeah.
So with obviously building your personal brand, did you have any sort of backlash or, you know, negativity? Because obviously when people put themselves out on social media, that's the biggest thing that they're scared of. They're scared of the backlash that they're getting. And like, even myself, like, I put myself out on social media on a regular basis, and now we've created the Ambitious Lifestyle, and I'm really like taking the next step. And there's still, you know, little things in the back of my mind that played. Like, did you have any backlash whatsoever? And if so, how were you able to overcome that? Yeah,
I've only ever had like 2, I guess, negative DMs in the whole time that I've been posting, which is almost 2 years now. So that's pretty good.
1 a year.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And I remember one girl commented, she's like, oh, you really love yourself. And I was like, wow, okay. Yeah. And I just wrote back to her and was like, you know, I'm not really sure why you're following me. I thought, you know, I'm going to call you out on it. And then the next day she sent me a message and apologised and blamed it on wine.
Oh, really? Wait, I think you told me about this story once upon a time. It's funny because I think with trolls, when putting yourself out on social media, it's going to happen. People are going to call you out. People are going to say things, you know. And I think the biggest thing is don't react to them. Yeah. Don't give them the feel that they want. Just reply to them openly and honestly. And you know, I remember I had one, it was many, many years ago, back when I first started Livco. And this was back on Snapchat. Like, I don't think anyone even uses Snapchat these days, but back in the day, this was on Snapchat. We had a bit of a following from that. And I had a guy that was based in the US, and, you know, he was like, oh, you know, hey, you had everything handed to you, and like was just giving everything. And I'm like, hold on a second. So I sent him a message back, and I took the time out of my day to respond to him. And I'm like, well, no, that isn't what's happened. This is what I had to do, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, tell me a bit about yourself. Like, obviously, you know, you've got a few hard feelings towards me. Like, tell me a bit about yourself, what you're doing. And we actually turned it from that negative into a positive. And I'm pretty sure to this day he has an online business. And I'm not saying it was because of me, but I'm just saying that we were able to turn his negative thoughts, and he was actually created an online business from it, which is crazy. Yeah, it is. I think that just shows who you are as a person as well. And I think you're very much like me. Like, you really love to share, you really love to help people. So I think generally our content isn't too polarizing, or people may think things behind, you know, our backs. I'm sure people make assumptions about me all the time and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's right. But I feel like generally, you know, the content that we're putting out is to be of service, to help other people. It's not about us
building a brand for the sake of it being our name out there. And I think that's something that you and I are quite similar at. It's like, building, AndrewTaylor or Kelle Howard is not about us becoming, famous or anything like that. It's just really, we just generally love to share, what we're up to and tips and tricks. And I think people tend to resonate with that.
Yeah. And one thing that I really like that you just said there is giving out tips and tricks, because we live in a world now where everyone's trying to sell to people on social media all the time. And so when I take on clients, I'm always telling them, never ever sell to your clients. You want to educate them. You want to be the vitamin to their pain. And that is the biggest thing that I do see on your social media. I don't think I've ever once seen you try and sell to anybody.
Yeah, and I think that was a conscious decision for me that, I don't want to grow my account to be an influencer. Growing a social media account is great for so many things because it will open up more opportunities for me. The more people that, see what I'm up to, then generally they'll approach and offer me an opportunity to work with them in some capacity. But when I built the house, I shared, all of my suppliers, all of the trades, where I bought everything from, because I just wanted to help their businesses, and I get asked all the time anyway, so I might as well share it openly. That's something that's really important to me. But obviously I understand that, influencers, that's a really great business as well, but it's just not where my focus lies, because I have other plans for, opportunities that I want to build for myself.
Yeah, for sure. Because you were speaking before and you talked about that you've now created a mentorship. And even with that, I don't think I've ever seen you once put it on social media to try and sell it to people. You've mentioned what you're doing, and then obviously if these people are interested, they can obviously get in contact with you. And I feel as though, like I said, so many people are just trying to sell to people on social media. So if you're trying to build a personal brand these days, you've just got to educate.
Yeah.
And it's going to get you so much further than, look at this beautiful product, or, this nice handbag, or, all that type of stuff. You need to educate the market.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get emails all the time for people offering to, send me product and, two skincare items for a post or a story. And I just don't want to go down that path for my audience as well, because there's other things that I would rather share.
Yeah, and you've got a very, very engaging audience. We've seen the insights on it. I remember when you first, I probably still have the message on my phone when you hit your first 1,000 followers. Yeah. And I remember you were jumping, and then it was first 10,000. You're wow, this is crazy. You were not expecting the type of response that you're getting from it, because I think you're up to 30,000 now. Yeah. Which isn't massive, but you've got a really dense engagement.
Yes.
Which I really, really love.
I think it's always interesting because I'll do a Q&A every now and again, and most of the time I'll get about 100 messages, and it's always interesting for me to see what people are curious about, because
for sure.
At first people are obviously interested in the house and everything, and it is still, people are interested in that, but it's always fascinating to see the questions that come through, and a lot of it is more the personal side, and I guess my philosophy on life. I think a lot of people resonate with that. I'm pretty calm, I'm pretty chilled, and I think that obviously it brings a lot of success in as well, because of, I guess, the way that I navigate my life on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, for sure. So would you recommend anybody, so whether they're starting a business or anything along those lines, would you recommend people to start a personal brand via social media?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, there is a time for that. I feel like, starting it out from the beginning, you've got to get really curious about yourself and what that brand is, because I think something that people resonate with is when it's cohesive from the start. So I think if you're not too sure what your direction is and what, your aesthetic is, I'd probably hold off until you figure that out. And then once you have a bit more confidence, because I think it's confusing for people when people are constantly chopping and changing what they do and what they're passionate about and, their aesthetic. So
for sure.
I think that I nailed that. I was confident in that before I started putting myself out there, so then people know what to expect from me.
100%, because obviously you built the home, and you showed what you're doing behind the scenes, and then it slowly transitioned to about the home to about you, and then the services that you provide, and interior design and stuff like that. So obviously with building your personal brand, you've obviously now started to create another form of income of taking, clients on and stuff like that. Did you have to reach out to these clients, or did these clients come to you from building your personal brand?
Yeah, they came to me, as I mentioned last year, I got really clear on the type of clients that I wanted to work with, but the other thing that I did as well was looked at all of the things that I'm passionate about. So I decided to open the house up as a photo shoot location. So I have between 1 and 6 brands a week shoot here, which is always amazing. But my reason behind that, aside from obviously the additional income, was I just love seeing what people create here, like how they translate something that I've built for their own brand. So that's always really fun to see the images come through. There's been brands that I've loved for years that have shot here, which is really fun, and just to meet other creative people. So that was one facet of what I do. Obviously, as I mentioned, that I'm starting to mentor, so I'll literally only take 1 or 2 people on because I really want to give them my full attention and be fully available for them. Obviously, I do interior design. I'm just at the moment about to launch a collaboration. So,
that's cool.
Unlike you, I have no interest in like the manufacturing side and the sampling and all that sort of stuff. But designing products is something that I really love. So I was approached by a couple that I'm friends with that have a really incredible line called Object X, and they approached me to do a collaboration with them. So I got to do what I see as the fun stuff, like the designing and seeing like the prototypes and choosing the finishes, but I haven't had to do a lot of the legwork, and that works really well for me. So
and I think that's probably coming down to your core values of knowing exactly what you want out of life or business or anything along those lines, because most people will be like, oh, well, I'm just going to go do it all myself. But then you kind of lose the fun, the happiness, the passion behind it. Your passion is like the design side of things. You don't want to be worrying about talking with manufacturers and the back and forth, because let's be honest, it is not fun. Especially when there's a language barrier, it can be very stressful at times. And you found like, no, this is what I'm good at. And there's no point trying to spend my time on something that I'm not good at, because I'm just not going to achieve the overall result.
That's right. And I can take on more projects doing the things that I'm really good at, rather than spending a lengthy amount of time. But something I wanted to touch on, I guess it's to do with manifesting, but it's probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I read a book called The Desire Map, and it was a game changer, but I didn't really realize it at the time. So
until now.
It's a book that you basically go through this workbook, and it helps you figure out what your core desired feelings are. So mine is 3, but it could be 3 to 5 adjectives that help you really define how you want to live your life. So obviously there's like a multitude, thousands and thousands of options of, someone could be, they want to be successful, they want to be happy, they want to be wealthy, they want to feel satisfied. Like there's so many options out there. There's no right or wrong answer. So I did the workbook, and I came up with my core desired feelings, which are free, alive, and connected. And I had them tattooed on my arm this year. So
that's
I did
really
the
cool,
workbook, and for years afterwards, I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to do this book again, because I do not feel any of those words in my day-to-day life at all. But now I wake up every day and I do, and I use these words, and that's why I had them tattooed, because that's how I want to live my life. So if a business opportunity, comes in, and it might seem like this shiny object, like, oh wow, that sounds amazing. But if I, come back to these words, it's like, is it going to make me free, feeling alive and connected? Like I'm very passionate about having connection with the people that I work with, the people that I spend time with, the connection that I have with myself. So that's really important. I won't work with someone if it doesn't feel right. I think, sometimes you kind of have a feeling about someone generally, your first instinct is right. And if you have a bad feeling about an opportunity, the freedom, with this collaboration with the clients that I work with, I like to work with people that trust me and give me, I guess, free reign on the design, because they know what to expect from me. And that feeling of being alive, I think that is my multi-passionate, doing lots of different things that keeps me excited and doesn't, make me feel stale. So I just realized that those words were right for me all along. That is how I wanted to live my life, but I was just really, really out of alignment at the time. So I definitely recommend everyone get their hands on that book.
What was the book called again?
It's called The Desire Map, and it's by Danielle Laporte.
Awesome.
Really
I might definitely have to have a look at that. So would you say that those words would be like your core value, or something that you strongly believe in every single day? If it doesn't fit into that, I'm out.
Yeah, because sometimes it might be, oh wow, I never thought of doing that. Like I had someone contact me recently, about collaborating on a skincare line.
Yep.
And I could have been like really attracted to that. You know, I love skincare, you know, I worked in makeup for years, but I just know that that's just not what I'm passionate about. It wasn't going to bring me back to those words. So, you know, I declined the opportunity.
Yeah. I especially love the part that you dabbled in is the shiny syndrome as well, because everybody sees it. Like you see that on social media, they'll see, you know, this person started this business, they've got the nice car, they've got this, but they don't actually see the work that goes on behind the scenes. And if it doesn't stay true to your core values, don't do it. Like, it's not going to make you happy.
With building a personal brand as well, like as you know, especially with social media, as it grows, you do get approached for things, and it could be, you know, quite enticing to be, oh wow, like someone's asked me to do this, and it's good for the ego, and you know, oh wow, okay, this is cool. They obviously think something of me, but that doesn't align with my values. One of the things that I really reflected on last year was being seen, and that's something that is like a bit of a buzzword for me at the moment. I'm not interested in being recognised. I don't care about, you know, winning awards and all of that sort of stuff. I understand that, you know, that is appealing to some people, but that's not what makes me tick.
Yep.
And it's funny, actually, there's a lady that I really look up to in Perth called Mon Palmer, and I would consider her a mentor. And she messaged me the other day to say that she listens to my Spotify playlist when she works.
Yeah,
and that for me is like, that's being
just blows
seen.
your mind.
And I'm just like, that to me means so much more, because she's creating and she's listening to something that I've created. And I really look up to her. So
it's such a good feeling, isn't it? Like, it's such a warm feeling.
Yeah, and I would much prefer that to, you know, rather than being named in Australia as a top interior designer.
Because you
or
obviously you won some awards on this home, didn't you?
Yeah, my builder, Paul, he won 3 awards for this home, which, you know, is so great for him, his business, and, you know, being recognised. But you know, for me, I haven't, you know, entered anything in particular. You know, there's not really anything that I'm interested in doing. It's just, showing up as myself every day, and I guess just being seen for who I am is
and that
more
obviously
important.
comes back to your core values as well. Yeah, awesome. That's really exciting. So with obviously building this personal brand, and, you know, you've just said that your somebody that you look up to as a mentor has, you know, now listening to your Spotify playlist. Have you been seen out in the public? Has people recognise you? Oh, really? And how do you feel about that?
I think it's because my following, a lot of people, like most of my following is local, like Gold Coast, Brisbane. I don't have many overseas followers, which kind of works for me because I guess what my business structure is, you know, I work with obviously photo shoots. I have had some overseas brands like Lounge Underwear did shoot here, and they just use a local team. But it does happen a lot, and it makes me laugh every time. But I also love it because it means that people think that, you know, I'm approachable, because not that I'm, you know, famous or even Instagram famous. You know, 30,000 is a great achievement, but it's not huge. But I like the fact that people actually come up to me and want to say hi, because I guess they feel like I'm approachable. And,
I think that's a lot of people don't realise is, you know, even though you consider yourself as just a normal person, I consider myself as a normal person, but to people that following us on social media may look at you as being, let's say hypothetically, let's say the Dwayne Johnson of the acting world, like completely off topic, but like as in like a celebrity, because they've seen your life, they're literally living and breathing, understanding how you operate as a person, you know, your style, you know, all that type of stuff, that when they see you in real life, they get really, really excited. Like, and I know that as well. And when I first got recognised out on the street, I was at, it was Eat Street down in Brisbane, and I was just getting some food, and somebody said to me, they're like, oh, you're Andrew, you're the Livco guy. And I'm like, that's me. It like just blew my mind. And I remember I was sitting there eating afterwards going, wow, like this person actually recognised me. And, you know, they put up a story afterwards of me eating, like with a bit of a creepy
tomato sauce down your face.
Pretty much. But it was just like, it was such an overwhelming feeling to know that, you know, I'm trying to make an impact on people's lives, and I'm getting recognised by my name, not by, you know, the achievements that I am doing.
It's such a cool feeling. I remember someone messaged me recently saying that watching my stories was part of their morning routine.
Oh, really?
And I always get told that I'm like really calm, and it's like, it's nice to get that feedback, because most of what I share is just on like my day-to-day life. It's not that interesting, but I think that I do have a lot of good habits, and, you know, in a way rituals that, you know, I meditate, you know, I love my crystals, and, you know, I'll talk about, you know, things that I'm passionate about and things that I feel help me in my day-to-day life. Just be really fluid. And I think that, you know, a lot of people that follow me love seeing that side, because not everyone is living, you know, their life that way. And I definitely have had, you know, time in the past, like I said, when I wasn't in alignment. So I think if people can see that, it's like, okay, well, that gives me something to, you know, to learn from, and as I said before about expanding themselves as well. So
cool. So you've obviously created this personal brand, these multiple incomes and so forth. But my question now is what gets you going in the morning? What gets you up to do your day? Because at the end of the day, you've created a beautiful home. You've created a location for people to come and shoot with. Technically you're at a stage of your life where you don't need to be taking on clients and collaborations and stuff like that. So what really motivates you to get up in the morning and keep going? Because this is something that we talk about with the Ambitious Lifestyle. We've got a slogan underneath there that says, never satisfied, always hungry.
Yeah.
A lot of people look at that as a negative. They always think, oh, well, I'm never satisfied.
Yeah, of course.
Well, it's not about never being satisfied. It's about realizing that I'm trying to grow as a person every single day and trying to be better than I was yesterday. So what's something that really gets you up in the morning to get going?
I think I just really enjoy creating, and I love connection with people. So, if I can work with people and get to create all different things, and it just gets me really excited. Like obviously when I'm creating for a client, one of my, things that I look for in a client is I like to work with people that have a good idea of what their style is.
Yeah.
So most people work with me because they love my aesthetic as a designer. I call it raw coastal luxe. So they gravitate towards me because they love this sort of European style that I've created. But the people I'm working with at the moment have, strong businesses themselves. They have, great personal style, but they just want my help translating that into a home. So, if I get to create something that they're going to wake up in every day, and then they're going to go to work, and they're building, their business and their brand, and that, gets me excited. Obviously doing the collaboration, the designing of the pieces, having something that people get to use every day. I've created furniture pieces. That's really exciting to me as well. So I like using my brain in that way. I love, just collaborating with different people. I've taken on a PA now, which is just nice to feel like I've got a team as well. And outsourcing what the stuff that I don't love, but then also having someone to share like the wins with, and the things that I can't share publicly that I'm working on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's
because
really
I think
cool.
with building a personal brand, because this is your business, your personal brand. Your home, the shoot location, your interior design. This is your business. Now, bringing on a PA, people don't realize that sometimes you do need to outsource this work.
Yeah.
Because if you don't love doing emails and quoting and all that type of stuff, outsource it so you can focus on what truly makes you happy. And that is obviously what you're doing.
So Gemma, who's my PA, I actually met her at that retreat that I mentioned that I went on last year. So she's seen my journey of relaunching my business and all of the things that I basically wrote down at that retreat that I wanted to start working on. She's been a big supporter behind the scenes, going, oh wow, like all the things that you said you're going to do that you're doing. And I was like, what, I'd love for you to work with me. She has her own business, so it works really well. She does it, she works for me virtually at the moment, so she will just do that in her pockets of time. But I held off for a few months. I said, I want you to work for me, but I just need to wait and make sure this momentum. It was like when COVID hit, obviously I wasn't having shoots at the house. Am I going to get any more interior design clients? Are people just going to be hanging on to their money? And then I just knew that the time was right, and it's freed up so much airtime in my own head.
Thinking space
closing,
as well.
Thinking space. She's closed a lot of tabs, or she's taken care of a lot of tabs that were open. So it is a bit of a leap at the time, but if it frees up more time for you to take on more clients or sell more products, then I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I say to a lot of people is they talk about freeing up time and stuff like that. Use your mind as though it's a computer. You've got all these tabs that are open, and everything just slows down. And like my assistant tells me all the time, like, Andrew, turn off a tab. Like, just relax, because you're the same. Your mind just goes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to turn that tab off and put that tab to somebody else, so that they can focus on that, and you can focus on what makes you happy.
Yeah, exactly.
So for anyone that is listening or watching and is wanting to start a business, whether it be online, brick and mortar, whatever, what's some bit of advice that you could give them to get started?
I think be very aware of procrastination, like where you're procrastinating, because sometimes we can put so much pressure or focus on, having the perfect website, having the perfect logo, getting business cards, and there obviously are industries where those things are, very important, but, sometimes people just use that as an excuse not to start. I think you just got to put yourself out there, whether you put your face on social media or not, but just really getting out there, showing people what you can do, what you're capable of. I think it's just so important. Like, I haven't had my website online, I think, for most of the year. I keep going.
I remember because you built your own website.
Yeah, I normally build my own because I'm quite a creative kind of control freak. I'm working with someone at the moment, but I'll be quite across everything that we're doing. But, I don't have business cards anymore. I do have a logo, but I think sometimes people can just use that as a way of, holding back. I'll start when I have this. It's like, just start now, start with where you're at and just build on that, because people really do love seeing a journey as well. I think,
100%.
It's so powerful to go, oh wow, I remember when, like you've brought up before, like, you and I have known each other for a long time, and you've seen, the different things that I've been through in my personal life and business life. And it doesn't mean you have to bear your soul or bear everything, but I think if people can see your progression and your journey, then that's really important as well, and that kind of goes hand in hand with building brand.
I think that's definitely a good thing to touch base on, and something that I teach my clients as well with the personal branding is just start. It might not be perfect, but you're going to get better. At least start and be shit at something, then try and be perfect and not start. Because, as soon as you start, people start to see the journey. And I get people all the time, like, Andrew, I remember when you did blah, blah, blah. Like, I've got embarrassing photos of when we first started that I don't even want to resurface, that every year that they come around on Facebook, everyone's tagging me in it because they remember it. But they love to talk about the journey. Like, they've probably got people that follow you that talk to their friends and be like, oh, I remember when Kelly did X, Y, Z. And they talk about you as though you're one of their besties because they know your whole story. They know, well, they don't know everything about you, but they know the journey that you've been on. And I think that's massive with obviously starting a business.
I think it's so powerful. Like, there'll be people that will come along at the beginning of your journey when you first start. There'll be some people that won't resonate with that, and then there'll be people that will come, further down the path as well. But even just talking about sharing past work or past, like where you started with Livco, you're like, oh gosh, cringe. But, I chose when I relaunched my interior design business not to share any of the rooms that I worked on, 7-8 years ago, because it's not my aesthetic anymore. So that was like a conscious decision. It's not because I'm not, I'm not embarrassed about them, but my aesthetic is very different now.
Exactly what you wanted.
So, that's something for me that I wanted to create my own style. And that's what people, gravitate towards me for in terms of my interior design style. But then there'll be people that don't love this style that will go and follow someone else. So I was really clear on, like, this is my style and this is what I stick to. And you won't find me doing like a big industrial build or something like that, because that's just not me. But I think it's just really important to kind of work out, what you're hiding from in business when you're starting out. And just get out there.
Just do it. Just stay true to your core values of exactly what you want to achieve. Just get it done. Don't muck around. So with obviously building all this, what type of roadblocks have you had along the way? Because obviously, on social media we put up all the perfect things in life. You put up some of the things that happen around the house that were not perfect or what's going on. What are some of the roadblocks that you have encountered, and how were you able to overcome these?
I think, I do always struggle with this question because I'm not someone that ever really reflects back and go, oh wow, that was like a big challenge. Like, I always try to look at things as an opportunity for growth, and I think I'm an innately quite positive person as well. So there was definitely things that came up with the build of the house, or things that come up with client work as well. But most of the time when that comes up, there's always an opportunity to improve it or learn from it. Something that I'm really working on at the moment in my personal life and in my business life is boundaries, like setting boundaries with people. And there's been times when I haven't set a boundary, and then I've had to go back and set a boundary because I've learned from it.
It's that awkward, like, it gets stretched and stretched and stretched. You've got to kind of close the gate, but it kind of becomes hard.
And I just feel like with boundaries, even in your personal life, with friendships, it's like once you start doing that and people see you doing that, it actually gives them permission to do that in their own life. And some people might not take it well, but I feel like I surround myself with clients and with people that respect me and know that if I'm putting a boundary up, it's for a reason. I'm not just doing it for the sake of it, because they know me as a person. So I think with roadblocks there's definitely been things like, oh, okay, I've overcommitted to that. and yeah, then I'll just kind of backtrack a little bit and go, actually, you know, I thought that I had the capacity, but I don't.
Yeah, for sure.
And generally it gets received okay.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Yeah, because I think that is definitely a big thing is making sure that boundary is set in stone from the start. Otherwise, you know, you're going to be stretched so thin that you won't be able to, you know, keep the happiness or stay true to your core values.
Yeah.
Or doing that.
Absolutely. And you asked me earlier as well just about, you know, what lights me up. And I did realise recently that whilst I have, you know, so many amazing projects happening for other people, there was just something missing and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then I realised I'm not doing any personal projects. Like when I was building this house, you know, that was something just for me.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any boundaries or restrictions. You know, obviously I'm, you know, single, so I don't have to ask anyone else's opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, for that side of things. So that's something that I'm looking into at the moment is what's my next personal project. So I'm going to basically buy an apartment and document that whole process again. And then it will be an Airbnb, so it'll be like a little sister project to Bajo, which would be really cool because the people that do follow me and have that connection will be able to go and stay there. I don't rent this house out because I'm a little bit too protective of my space for not wanting people to sleep in my bed, but
you allow people to shoot in your bed.
I know. I think just sitting on the bed is very different than them rolling around in my sheets.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's funny you say that because that was actually going to be my next question as to what's next for you. So you're obviously going to get an apartment. Are you going to still go with that coastal theme, or what's?
It will be. It'll be very similar to Bajo in the, you know, it'll be light and bright. It'll be lots of raw elements, but I feel like I have the capacity and the scope to push the boundaries a little bit because it's not going to be our family home. So it doesn't need to be quite as functional. So I've got some really cool ideas in mind. So yeah, I'm excited to start looking for the right space. And next year, I really want to work on either a boutique hotel.
Oh, like an actual hotel?
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
I'd love to do that, or I guess like a block of apartments. So I'd love to design maybe 2 or 3 potential interiors, and then the people that are purchasing the apartments off the plan can choose which of the designs they want to have it fitted out as.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's not my mentor in Perth, Mon, she did something similar. Like that would be so cool.
Yeah, for sure. Imagine documenting that. Like,
it's
like the luxury of the block.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
like we're taking this next level.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
That's awesome.
That'd be fun.
I love it.
That's on the vision board for next year. So we'll check in with me this time next year and we'll see if it's come
Maybe
to
we need
fruition.
to come back to this in 12 months' time.
Yeah,
Let's book
I'll give you a
time.
tour of the hotel.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be so cool. So that's a wrap, Kelly. I thank you so much for joining me here on the Ambitious Lifestyle. I'm absolutely pumped to have you on here. So if you guys are watching, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you guys want to know more about Kelly, chuck them in the comments below or head over to, what's your Instagram account, Kelly?
At kellehoward.co.
At kellehoward.co. Check her out, see behind the scenes, and if you want to hear the full story on our YouTube channel, if you want to hear the full story about Kelly, make sure to head over to our podcast to hear the full story on behind the scenes of Kelle Howard.